Yeah, welcome in. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast. Got another good show for you here tonight. Midweek college football season. You know what that means. That means we're going to have my guy, Ryan Lankford, former Fighting Illini and more, join us to talk college football, all the major storylines, what's going on, and what he's looking forward to this coming weekend. So you know what it is. If you haven't already and you're here on YouTube, please go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, and that notification bell so you can be made aware anytime new content drops on the channel. If you want the audio only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in the Format Podcast. We should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, please give us that thumbs up, which signifies a like. Give us that 5-star review and drop a comment. Even if you don't enjoy it, drop a comment. All that stuff, all that interaction, we love it, and it helps us rise in the algorithm. Also, do it on YouTube. Helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. Now, let's get right to it. Bruce Holt, Brian Lankford, College Football, the Format Podcast. Let's go. All right, everybody, here we are again. Welcome back to the Format Podcast. Got my guy, Ryan Lankford, the official Format Podcast college football analyst, former Fighting Illini, former Indianapolis Colt, former BC Lion, former Ottawa Red Black, former Saskatchewan Rough Rider. And I went over these before. We started. I always drop one.
That's right.
But yes, former Canadian football wide receiver and kick return specialist, as well as former NFL wide receiver and Division I Big Ten wide receiver. So Ryan, thanks so much for taking the time out. How you doing today, brother?
Doing well, man. Doing well.
Awesome, man. The college football season been treating you right?
It's been well. I mean, I wish Illinois was doing a little bit
Of
better,
course.
but yeah, I'm gonna still ride with them. I'm gonna still
That's
ride
it.
with them. But
Man, you got to
it's
ride with him, man. You wore
yeah,
that thing for 4 years. You got to
that's
ride with him.
true. That's true. That's true. But I am enjoying a lot of the games that are going on,
I
and
hear
that's
you, man.
that's been cool. So it's exciting. There's nothing like college football. There's nothing like college football.
Nah, it really is. It really is just a feeling and a vibe of its own, and it's definitely a special sport. And I'm not just saying
Mhm.
that because I'm talking to you and because I'm doing this show, but I legitimately am sad every year when the college football season is over, and it seems
Yeah,
like it has the longest off season. I'm like, damn, it's a
it
long,
really, it really does. It
yeah,
really does.
yeah. So yeah, but let's get right to it, man. So first, we're gonna start out in one of the most interesting stories in all of sports, not just college
Hmm.
football. The Michigan saga continues, man. What is going on with Michigan? Obviously, Connor Stallions, the guy that was allegedly doing all of this, he has, cut ties by quote unquote resigning from the Michigan
Hmm.
program. I'm sure that if they were actually doing something wrong, they handsomely compensated him to kind of go away. And he fell
Absolutely.
on his sword for the program. If indeed they didn't know anything about it, he made it clear that, to his belief, they didn't know anything about it and that he was just,
Hmm.
doing what he was doing. He didn't give too much extra commentary. So that part is done. But now
Hmm.
we've got the issue of the other ADs and coaches in the Big Ten are now pushing Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti to discipline Harbaugh and his program. And it's like, what is going on there? This is insane,
Hmm.
man. What
Hmm.
what are you
Hmm.
thinking?
I'm glad I don't have to make decisions, or I'm glad I'm not in this mix.
Yeah, yeah.
Because as an outsider looking in, there are so many levels to this,
Mm-hmm.
like there's so many things of, okay, if they step in and try to, listen to all these coaches, what does that say about them? What
Yeah,
does it say about those coaches? What does
yeah.
it say about the future of rule following and
Mm-hmm.
signing and the actual gameplay of the
Mm-hmm.
game? So um I'm interested to see what happens. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, I don't want anyone's name to be dragged through the dirt and all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff, but I do want the investigators and the people to do their job to do their
Yeah,
job, so we
absolutely.
can really, really, really see what's going on,
Right.
because I think this is has the potential to kind of change the trajectory of, how football can be called and the
Mm-hmm.
way, how things move.
Well, from what I'm hearing from, listening to other people who are in the know when it comes to college football and all that, whether it's former players that are now in the media and reporters and all that, they're kind of in line on two things. One, a lot like what you told me, sign stealing does go on and has gone
Hmm.
on pretty much, as
Hmm.
long as the game's been around. And two, at some point, they're going to need to figure out a way to just get to having that radio in the helmet, the way they do in the
Yeah.
NFL, and that,
Yeah.
you know, whether it's communication between the coach and the quarterback and the coach and the middle linebacker is one. Two, if you really want to get around this, you do it that way. Two, let guys huddle up. I mean, if you're worried about them
Right.
stealing your sign, huddle up. Or
Right.
three, go to the wristband. I mean, this shouldn't be that big of a deal. I do know rules are rules, right? And obviously, me being a veteran, having served in the military, I understand rules and regulations are the backbone of any orderly society. I totally get that. However, come on, man. I think, like we talked about last week, I think a big part of this is people just don't like Harbaugh, right? And so this is getting blown into arguably something bigger than it should have been. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Now you're hearing Michigan coming out and claiming that other coaching staffs within the Big Ten were stealing their signs and signals last year, right? So it's like, come on, man. If I'm Tony Petitti, maybe I'm just saying, look, it's like, if you have a bunch of kids, you're like, hey, everybody just be quiet. You go to your corner, you go to your
you
corner.
Sit over there.
Right. Everybody just be quiet and
let's just get back to ball.
Yeah.
That's I feel that. It is a lot of that. And I think, Michigan has to come with that type of energy. You do want to, you got to stand up for yourself.
Yes.
Is their allegations true or not? We don't know, but I do know people have been stealing signs for football for years. People do it like that. That is one of the things within the game.
Right.
I think baseball, they do that in baseball too. That's part of like sign stealing. That is sports. That is part of it.
I think that I don't know. One of the things they're saying is that maybe because of the electronic nature of it and the reaches that this guy Connor Stallion allegedly went to, going to all these different games and switching sides, at halftime, so you could get basically the far reaches that he went to be able to basically set up an operation of this level is where people are finding it so egregious. But again, I don't know. It's frustrating to me because now it kind of casts a doubt on the program that Jim Harbaugh has built and what Michigan has now become, which is, clearly one of the top 3 or 4 powers in the country.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And I really think college football as a whole, they should adopt, the quarterback having the speaker in the helmet, right? I think that's a level that can be implemented if they're really worried about this kind of stuff. And that happens on Sundays, right? When you get to the NFL, everyone's going to have that. That's going to be a normal thing.
Right.
So I think letting quarterbacks or letting one guy on defense have it, if you choose to do it, is not a bad option.
I don't think it's a bad option either. And it's crazy because one of the arguments I heard was, well, every team can't afford it. And I'm like, man, with the amount of money, at the very least, that Power Fives bring in from college football, they can afford it. Let's not try to act like they don't have any money. It is absurd. Absolutely ridiculous.
And you just need two.
Yeah, there you go.
Two.
Right.
One on offense, one on defense.
Exactly.
Hey, and if we need batteries, we get batteries. Like they can figure that out.
They can figure that out. Absolutely. So now another interesting thing, and the NCAA, of course, has cleared this. I guess they don't want to make it look any kind of way, but to me, this was crazy. Allegedly, this all came out as a result of Ohio State head coach Ryan Day. His brother has a PI firm in New Hampshire, and they're apparently the ones who blew the whistle on all this. Now, how does that look, right? You're Ryan Day. You've been getting your butt whooped by Michigan for the last 2 seasons. I mean, badly. And all of a sudden, your brother and his PI firm managed to come out with the smoking gun, quote unquote. And when you're asked about it, it's no comment. And then the NCAA miraculously says that there's no connection between you and this.
Right.
Come on, man. Are we serious here?
Yeah, something's fishy. Something's in the water.
Yeah.
Something's in the works. Because like you said, that's the timing is incredible. The stars are aligning in an interesting way.
Very. It's like on both sides, this thing is turning to Days of Our Lives or something, or General Hospital, whatever soap opera you want to call it. But this is like one thing I love about sports is that it's not a soap opera, right? It's line up and may the best players and the best coaches win, right? But now we're not getting that because we've got all this other crap going on, and I really hate it, And I heard Paul Feinbaum say, I think he was on Get Up with Greenberg this morning, and he was saying that even if Michigan goes on, wins the national championship, it's all going to be tainted, and people are going to be looking like, well, did they win because of this? But at the end of the day, you still got to line up. You got to block. You got to catch. You got to run. You got to tackle. Like, even if you know what's going on, you still have to do those things. And if you don't do them, you're not going to win. Like, I could know all the plays you're doing. If you're bigger, stronger, faster, and out execute me, it's not going to matter.
Doesn't matter. That's right. That's right. I mean, we've had situations where we didn't care that they knew. I mean, we're calling plays out, and they're like, "Oh," especially in practice. Once you're practicing during the season, defense picks up on stuff. Defense knows when we're doing a two-minute drill, and we say, this, that means this, right? They still got to stop it, right? It doesn't matter. So you got to play, no matter if you're stealing signs or not. Players got to play and make plays.
That's right. That's right. All right. I guess we could probably go on talking this Michigan thing all night, right? But let's talk the new college football playoff rankings that just got released yesterday. So we'll just go top 10 for now. So Ohio State stays number 1. Obviously, the committee is really valuing the way Ohio State's playing defense, and of course their wins over Penn State and Notre Dame. Although with Notre Dame now having 3 losses, that win, some of the luster came off of that. Georgia, number 2, Michigan, the aforementioned Michigan, right? Number 3, Florida State, number 4, Washington, number 5, Oregon, number 6, Texas, number 7, Alabama, number 8, and they are just lurking in the weeds. I feel the need to say that, we early on, we're like, oh, this is not the same Alabama team, but it's almost like Saban's kind of gotten back to his roots, playing defense, running the football. Excuse me. Jalen Milrose making plays with his legs and his arm. Tommy Rees has kind of gotten into the flow of play calling there in Tuscaloosa now. Number 9, Ole Miss. Not Saban. Lane Kiffin. He's another one. Yep. He's lurking as well. And 10 is Penn State. Obviously, they lost to Ohio State, but have played well overall, have an elite defense and a huge matchup this week with Michigan. So, what are your thoughts on that top 10? I'm gonna have some questions for you on that, but just before we start, what are your thoughts?
I think it's pretty good. Interested to see Georgia drop to number 2, and just kind of see how that's gonna all play out. Some big games coming up for all these guys, and it's going to be really interesting to see, how it all shakes up. But for where it's at now, I think it's some questionable positions, just off of strength of schedule sometimes. But I think this is fairly fair at this time.
Yeah, I think so too. And we'll briefly talk about it later, but definitely you mentioned Georgia. They got Ole Miss this weekend, so that should be a good one.
Right. Yes.
Lane Kiffin, really outstanding offensive coach, and of course, Kirby Smart, elite defensive coach. So there's that. Yeah, so for me, I don't know that I have Florida State ahead of Washington. I think if you do that, maybe it's because Florida State might be a little better on defense than Washington is. But I think they're still really highly ranking Florida State based on that opening weekend win against LSU. But LSU is now another 3-loss team. So that win should have had some luster come off. And it's the same thing I always talk about. It's that SEC bias, right? Oh, you beat one of the big name teams in the SEC. So you got to be, you got to get credit for that, even though LSU clearly isn't that good this year.
Right.
I think Washington obviously is special offensively. We talked about that. I know you love watching that Penix to Ndunze to Polk and McMillan trio.
They're playing some good football. Playing some good football.
Right.
Some good football.
Yeah, I know you enjoy seeing that, seeing those wide receivers do their thing. Oregon is manhandling people. Obviously, they lost the one game close against Washington. And I think that we're probably looking forward to an Oregon-Washington rematch in the Pac-12 championship game because I think Oregon is going to put USC in a body bag this weekend. I think that's going to be bad. But yeah, I think this top 10 is pretty fair, other than I probably would have Washington and Oregon ahead of Florida State. But the problem is
Mm-hmm.
it's tough to have one-loss teams ahead of undefeated teams, the
Mm-hmm.
way these
Mm-hmm.
things kind of get evaluated in college. At the end of the day, winning
Mm-hmm.
has to matter, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I definitely am with you with the Washington being above Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at their two schedules, like you said, LSU, not the LSU that we've known, right?
Right, right.
Having multiple losses. But I feel like Washington has played some decent teams and won, and that enough, I think, just the strength of their schedule should
Mm-hmm.
give them the number 4 position. Now, the Oregon, Florida State, that gets a little trickier.
Mm-hmm.
But I
I agree.
definitely think Washington has a bid to say, yeah, we're the we could be in number 4.
Right, right. Yeah, I totally agree. Um, Penn State, they still got a chance to be
Mm,
special, probably New Year's 6, but
yeah.
obviously this weekend they got another one of those games where it's an opportunity for Jonathan Franklin and that program to finally get, I guess, a defining kind of victory. They play Michigan.
Yep.
That is going to be a rock fight. That is going to be old school, smash mouth, Big Ten football. I know you know all
100%.
about it. I know you're going to love it.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Penn
I'm
State
excited
and
for it.
Michigan, yeah, those are the two best defenses in the country, and they're going to have to line up and punch each other till somebody falls down.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, you got any
Hmm.
early thoughts on that? I know we're
I,
going to
w- I
get to
would
that later,
love
but
I would love to see Penn State do it, and I think they can.
mm-hmm,
They're gonna be home. That place is
mm-hmm,
gonna be rocking. It's gonna be whited out. It's gonna be
mm,
loud.
yeah,
It's gonna be an exciting environment, and I think if they can kind of get ahead and have Michigan playing from behind,
mm-hmm,
you never know. You never know. And this is like you said, this could be one of those games that they need, that kind of those
mm-hmm.
statement games. One of those, hey, we're here. We've semi arrived.
No, I hear you. I think Michigan, honestly, in my estimation, I think they're the best team in the country. And I think
Hmm.
the other thing is what we're not paying attention to. This was kind of one of those intangible things. Harbaugh is going to have those guys breathing fire. He's going to be like,
That's right.
everybody thinks we're a bunch of cheaters.
That's
Everybody
right.
thinks that we can't win without doing it the wrong way. They think what they
Hmm.
think. Well, let's go out there and show them what we can do. And
Hmm.
I think he's going to have them ready to really physically dominate Penn State. And
Yes.
now Penn State, again, outstanding defensive team. Manny Diaz, an outstanding defensive coordinator. However, I think they were built more in line with beating Ohio State than they are beating with Michigan. I think
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Michigan's just too big and too physical. Now their O
Yeah.
line hasn't dominated quite the way we expected coming into the year, but I think the difference is JJ McCarthy.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
Drew Eiler at Penn State, he's a true freshman, but that's why they play the games.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so I can't wait. I'm so excited for that one. That's a night game,
Yeah.
right? That whiteout.
I I thought it was midday game, to be honest, but
Oh, that
it
would
might
suck.
be a night game. It might be a night game. Now that
uh,
I'm thinking in my head, I
hmm
was thinking that it was just a midday game, but I think you're right. I gotta double check that.
Yeah, I'm about to
I,
check right now. Wow, it's the big noon kickoff game.
it is. Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
I
So
get
that's
it, but I think they blew it on scheduling that. I would have made that a night game.
yeah, they did. They did. And
Yeah.
that's a great point because I don't know
hmm
how that works because I feel like they could have pivoted. They could have switched that. They could
hmm
have found a way to make that the primetime game just
Yeah.
because of what's going on right now. And
Yes.
maybe
Yes.
that's just an NFL thing, but I always feel like it kind of pivots in the
Oh, the
moment,
flex.
or
Yeah, I think it is an
yeah,
NFL thing. Yeah.
you
Because
know.
if this was the NFL, they definitely would have flexed that to the primetime game. I agree.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Because like you just said, you would think that was
hmm
going to be the night game. Now I'm
Yeah.
interested to know who's going to be playing at night with that
So yeah,
starting.
I just pulled up the schedule. So NBC is gonna have Michigan State and Ohio State. I don't think that's gonna be a very good game. Michigan State's not
uh,
particularly competitive this season. You're
right,
gonna have
right.
Texas and TCU, which I think going into the season, a lot of people thought would be a much better game than
Hmm.
it's going to
Hmm.
be. That's also 7:30 p.m. Florida and LSU, another one maybe people expected to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that
so
might be a good game because both of their teams actually aren't who they used to be. kind of
Mm-hmm,
thing,
mm-hmm.
so they might be good because where are they playing in LSU or are they Swamp?
Yeah, they're playing it in Baton Rouge. Mm-hmm.
In Baton Rouge, yeah.
Yep,
That'd be
Tiger
good to
Stadium.
watch. That'd be a good classic LS or classic SEC matchup to watch. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah, I
good.
won't be watching
But it won't.
that.
But they're not even.
Right.
They're not who they used to be. Neither one
No,
of
I agree.
them.
Yeah, that Michigan Penn State absolutely should have been a night game, but it is what it
Yeah.
is. I think the whiteout
Mhm.
doesn't have the same effect when it's not at
It
night.
doesn't. It
Right.
doesn't.
Yeah, well, you
It
would know,
doesn't.
right? Yeah.
It doesn't. It's just normal Penn State at that time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right, right. I got you. Okay. So let's cross the country and go out to the Pac-12 here.
Mhm.
Caleb Williams, not at all on his best 3-game stretch.
Yeah.
Maybe his worst 3-game stretch of his college career, even though he didn't play particularly badly last week. Uh, he and his team lost in the shootout against Washington, I think 52-42. And
Mhm.
we talked about it a little bit, the possibility that he might hang it up for the season. We talked about that last week. Now knowing that there's really not much to play for, he's not going to win a repeat Heisman, and
Mhm.
USC has no opportunity to even make a New Year's Six. Furthermore, a national championship. They're actually out of the top 25 now.
Mhm.
And so this was actually the bigger story, though, was he jumped up in the stands to hug his mom, post game, and then apparently he just started bawling, to the point that I think she put a paper over his face or something like that so no one would see it. And so,
Mhm.
I've been hearing various people's take on it. Some people saying, like TJ Hushmanzada, he says, even though he is not a cry publicly guy, he says that it takes more strength than weakness to cry publicly. LeVar Arrington said that he wasn't with it. If that was his son, he'd tell him, hey, go in the locker room. Everybody's watching you. I understand you hurt. You gave it your all, but if you're gonna cry, take it in the locker room. Um,
Mhm.
I've heard other people say that they thought. I think James Jones on Speak, former Super Bowl champion wide receiver with the Packers, he said that he thought that that was for the cameras and for the show. You
Mm.
know, and so kind of, what are your thoughts on Caleb Williams' reaction following that loss?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I can't say how he felt and what
Right.
and to justify his actions.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I'm not gonna cry in front of everybody, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest,
Right.
unless we just won or lost the national championship,
Yeah.
and I would really try not to cry in front of everybody. That's just personally how I am. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, I left it all out there. Um, if it is what it is, I'm crying as I'm walking off the field. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna run up to my parents. I'll see them after the game and cry in the private with them, kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
But everyone's different,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he's right now. He's got the monkey on his back, and I think he can't hang it up,
Mm-hmm.
especially if I'm an NFL scout. I'm watching that really closely
Okay.
because
I agree.
this is where you show your leadership. This is
I
where you
agree.
show your longevity because it's not
Mm-hmm.
always going to be hunky dory. It's not always going to be
Mm-hmm.
we winning games.
Right.
We might know early on in the season that we not making the playoffs. You
Mm-hmm.
still need to go out there and execute and play as if we are. I think that's what's important as a leader in a team game. So I hope he doesn't hang it up. I hope he finds a way to, get a win or at least just really dominate and show that, hey, I still can play. Last week was last week. This is a new week. We making plays now. We had a great week of practice
Right.
and let's roll. I think that's what people want to see and that's what people want to hear. They want to see
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, and see, this is for me, this almost seems like the first time Caleb Williams has ever faced any adversity in his athletic life. And he
That's
does
a good
not, in
point.
my estimation, seem to be, from what I can see, obviously, bird's eye view,
Hmm.
handling it particularly well, right? Not
Hmm.
handling it with aplomb. And I'm saying, to your point, this is a guy, this is the time you show the leadership. This is a guy
Hmm.
that I would be hitching my wagon to and handing a lot of money to. And I want to see
Hmm.
that you're a leader. I want to see that you're a competitor. I want to see that you're a team guy. And
Hmm.
I'm not so sure that Caleb gives me that impression. I'm not saying he's not. Obviously, I don't
Right.
know him, and they'll find out more during the interview process and the combine and the pro days and all that. However, from what I'm seeing at this distance, I don't know that I see that, and that would give me cause to pause. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Just don't
Mm-hmm.
know. But
Mm-hmm.
that's me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with that. I'm definitely with that because adversity is gonna come,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to see people want to see the great ones know how to bounce back in situations like that.
Right, right. Okay, Big 12, right? So we're going all over the country now, right? We did
All over. This is what we
we
do.
that's right. We started Big 10. We hit the East Coast there with Penn State, and then we went out to USC. Now we're going Big 12.
Hmm.
Now I'm older than you, Ryan. I'm 45 now. So I
Hmm.
grew up in an era where the running back was everything, pound the rock.
That's
And
right.
it
Yep.
and obviously I didn't play like you did, but my football philosophy in terms of what I know about the game is very simple. Run the ball, stop the run, and you will have a very good opportunity to win most
Hmm.
games. Now,
Hmm.
that said, Oklahoma State has what appears to be one heck of a running back in Ollie Gordon II. Tell me what you think about this guy. How good is he?
He's really good.
Yeah.
He's strong. He's a
Hmm.
strong back, and I believe he's a young back too. I want to say he's like a sophomore, I
He
think.
is. Yep.
And the vision and the way he runs and the
Hmm.
patience and the way he's able to set up his blocks, I
Hmm.
think shows that he knows what he's doing. He's a really good player. He's kind of like that creative player size, kind of like that scat back, kind of quick, can catch the ball out of the backfield, but also lay a shoulder and finish some
Hmm.
runs. So
Yeah.
I like his game a lot. I'm not gonna say I wasn't too high. I didn't follow him too much.
Same here.
But the times that the games are on or I'm watching highlights, I'm like, man,
Yeah.
he's trying to play on Sundays.
Yes, he
He's a
is.
real deal. He's a
Yes, he
real
is.
deal,
Hmm.
and I like him.
Yeah, he's leading the country in rushing now, 1,224 yards, and he's got 12 touchdowns and 7 yards a carry. Like that's special.
Yeah,
Now,
that's perfect.
nobody's going to mistake the Big 12 for the SEC in terms of defense and in the trenches,
Hmm.
but
Hmm. Hmm.
the guy's good though. The guy's good,
Yeah.
and um, an interesting stat that I picked up on him last week is he's the first Oklahoma State running back since Barry Sanders. There's a name, right?
Wow.
Barry
Wow.
Sanders, and that's the guy I have coincidentally as the greatest running back of all time. That's my opinion. But
Hmm.
he's the first guy at Oklahoma State since Barry Sanders to record back-to-back 250-yard rushing games. So
Wow.
anytime you're in conversation with that guy, I think it
It's a
says
good place
something.
to be. It's a good place
There
to
you go.
be.
And right, and that's crazy because Chuba Hubbard was a 2,000-yard back a couple of years ago.
Hmm. He was nice
So
too. He was
yeah,
nice too.
absolutely. And I'll tell you, quick side note, it's so funny that Mike Gundy is now, really leaning on the run game with these guys because remember, he's an air raid guy. Oklahoma
Hmm.
State was, running that
Hmm.
air raid for the longest. Justin
Hmm. Hmm.
Blackman and all these
Hmm.
different dudes, really
Hmm.
throwing it all over the yard. But
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
hey, if Oklahoma and Texas are getting all those guys, that's fine. We're gonna pound it. So
We're gonna run this thing.
that's
Yep.
right. Yeah, I respect that as a coach. But yeah, I think Ollie Gordon is really good. I think he's a special guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before I let you get out of here, Ryan, and I'm sure we kind of touched on it already, but give me your two big games for this weekend that you're looking forward to seeing.
Really like Penn State game.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's gonna be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see how Michigan plays.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan game. Oh, that is Penn State. I'm tripping.
Yeah,
Um,
Penn State, Michigan.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But yes, I am interested to see how Michigan plays against Penn State.
Right.
Um, I want to see USC. I want to see how the quarterback's going to play. I'm interested to see how that's going to be. But
I think they're gonna get destroyed.
those are going to be kind of the games that I'm interested in. I
Okay.
think they will probably get destroyed as well. But
Mm-hmm.
I would love to just see USC really put up a fight, really see their
Yeah.
offense just
Yeah.
like moving the ball, tough situations, coming
Mm-hmm.
out, boom, driving the ball, and just Caleb just leading his team and just
Yeah.
showing that,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, we're not in it,
Mm-hmm.
but we're gonna play like we in it. And I
That's
think
right.
that would be cool to see. That would be
I
cool to
agree.
see.
Yeah, and quick side note, we didn't even mention this. After last week, Lincoln Riley, I guess he either got forced into it or realized he had no option. He fired his defensive coordinator, Alex Grinch, that
Mm,
he had brought over with him from Oklahoma. I mean, at that point, you have to do something and make a change. And I
mhm.
don't know who the interim defensive coordinator is, but whoever it is,
I remember that.
maybe they'll get those guys, ready to go and show a little, as you said, a little fight.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I
and it's
think
tough when that happens when you get a fire when there's a firing. It's
mhm,
everyone's looking around.
yeah,
Everybody's all right. When's the season over at this point?
mhm,
Because we don't know what's gonna happen.
right.
So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, no, I think USC is just I think Oregon is built to
Hmm.
take advantage of a soft team like that, and I think they're gonna punch
Hmm.
them right in the face, and I really think they are. But we'll see, because
Yeah,
if
yeah,
USC can get that passing game going, maybe Oregon might not be built to come back from something like that. So we'll see.
yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But yeah, for me, my two games this weekend, obviously Michigan and Penn State. And I think
Hmm.
probably everybody in the country that loves college football will be excited for that one. And to your point,
Hmm.
I think obviously we know that it's in Harbaugh's DNA that he's going to want to run the ball first. But
Hmm.
seeing what JJ McCarthy is going to be able to do against the first real defense that he's seen all year, and this defense is elite, it's going to give us some keys and maybe a little foresight into what we're going to see down the road when they play
Right.
Ohio State in a couple weeks. So again, really looking forward to this game. And the second one is Ole Miss and Georgia. And I'm not an SEC guy,
Yeah.
but that Lane Kiffin Kirby Smart
Right.
matchup, I think is going to be really good in terms of the
Yeah.
chess match between an ace defensive coach and an ace offensive coach. I think that should be really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to see Ole Miss. I'd like to see Ole Miss
Hmm.
if they can pull that out.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. And I'm big for, especially once rankings and playoff stuff starts coming out. I'm
Hmm.
big on the underdogs winning games just to kind of
Okay.
see
Yeah, just to kind of
what
mess it
that
up a little
does.
bit.
Just to
Yeah,
kind of mess it up and just
right.
I'm a fan now. I'm not vested anymore. I'm just enjoying the football. So
That's right. That's right.
throw something in the hat. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
Well,
So
I tell you what,
yeah, Ole Miss will be good.
I love to see the underdog kind of do it. Because college football is such a have and have not type game.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
also want to, since there's no discernible standards, I love situations where the committee's feet are put to the fire and
Right.
you get to put them in a position where, okay, well, last week you did this. Well,
Y'all
all
said
of a sudden,
this.
right. All of a sudden that doesn't apply anymore. What's going on? I love
Yeah, yeah,
situations like that. And when you
yeah,
get an underdog
yeah.
winning, it allows you to be in that position where you can kind of,
Hmm.
you can poke the committee. And I think that's really
That's
cool.
right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, Ryan. Well, I guess we're gonna wrap up on that. I think this was a pretty quick one for us, huh?
Yeah, I got it's efficient, efficient. We're rolling.
Efficient, right? We roll it, right? We got it. We getting it going, man.
We're in the groove now.
There it is. But thanks so much for joining us tonight, as always, man. To give us your insight on college football and football in general, man. I really appreciate it, bro.
Always, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And if you haven't already and you're here on YouTube, please click that subscribe, that like, and that notification bell. Make sure you stay up to date on whenever new content drops. And if you want the audio only version, type in the Format Podcast and subscribe on your audio podcast platform. All right. Leave your comments and we'll be back with you next time. And we're out. Peace.